You will never get along with everyone. And this is not because you are difficult, it's because you are not seeing the same reality. This lesson explains why conflict doesn't mean incompatibility. Most of the times, it means different perception. We arrive at what might be the most important topic of all: perception and how we experience reality. In this lesson, we'll explore what perception really is and why people interpret the same events so differently. Why we can say the same words, yet those words can mean completely different things to each of us. Where these differences come from a neurobiological perspective. What perception really is. Perception is a complex process through which the brain interprets and gives meaning to sensory information. We have five senses: sight, hearing, smell, touch, and taste. This process happens in multiple stages and involves different regions of the brain. It is fundamental to how we interact with others and how we understand the world around us. Let me explain how perception works neurologically so you can understand why you experience the world the way you do. Step number one will be reception of stimuli. Everything begins in the external environment. Events happen and our senses pick up what we see. We hear, smell, touch, and taste. Our sensory organs transform physical stimuli, light, sound, pressure, into electrical signals. At this stage, nothing is understood yet. We simply receive raw data. But step number two, transmission. These electrical signals are transmitted through the nerves to the brain. For example, in vision, the photoreceptor in the retina transforms light into electrical signals, which travel to the optical nerve to the brain. Up to this point, nothing emotional has happened yet. Step number three, processing. The signals now reach specialized processing area in the brain. The primary visual cortex processes visual information. Auditory region processes sound. Here signals are analyzed and given basic characteristics: shape, color, direction, volume, speed. This is the foundation for understanding what happened in the external world. Step 4. Integration and interpretation. Information from these primary areas sent to more complex regions where it is integrated and interpreted. This is how we recognize a face, an object, or a sound as a whole. For example, a reception is you see a dog and you hear barking. Transmission, signals travel through the brain. Processing, the brain registers size, speed, and bark intensity. Interpretation, danger, if I was bitten by a dog before. Or another example would be you see a text, okay, or okay. Transmission, visual signals travel to the brain. Processing, short message, no emoji, timing. Interpretation, they are mad or they are busy. This is your interpretation. And now we arrive at the most important part. The crucial element, memory and past experience. Everything interpreted so far now interacts with memory and past experience. The brain compares present information with stored memories, emotional experience, expectation, and cultural conditioning. This step is fundamental. Our past experiences strongly influence how meaning is assigned to what we perceive. If I see a dog and I was bitten by a dog in the past, my brain might interpret that dog as dangerous. I feel fear. I pulled away. But if someone else grew up loving dogs, sees the same dog, and feels affection and curiosity, same stimulus, different reality. Notice how quickly your brain creates meaning before facts appear. This also explains relationships. If I've been betrayed in the past and my partner doesn't come home on time, my brain might immediately interpret that as infidelity. As a result, I might check his phone or look into his pockets. But if I never experienced that trauma, I might simply think, he's at work, he's busy. The brain is always trying to protect us and help us survive. So it connects present events with past emotional memory. Another example would be, let's say I have a struggle to agree with my partner about investing. If he previously lost a large amount of money in a failed business, his brain associates investment with danger and loss. If I don't carry that trauma, I can decide to invest much more easily. It's the same topic, is just different past. So will be a different reaction in the present. From interpretation to reaction. Based on interpretation, the brain generates a response. That response can be a thought, an emotion, an action, or a combination of all three. This is why people often don't understand each other. We use the same words, but those words are shaped by different emotional histories. Why communication breaks down? Everything lies in perception and interpretation. He didn't come home on time. We don't know why, but we interpret. One person thinks he was with someone else. Another person thinks he was working. This is also, when friends have different opinion based on their past experience. And depending of that interpretation, communication changes. Your boss asks you to come to the office at 8 a.m. If in the past that meant you're being fired, you arrive emotionally exhausted, but not because of the reality, but because of your interpretation. This is what happens in families and relationships when we don't understand each other. You turn your back because your back hurts. Your partner interprets it as rejection of or lack of intimacy. In different pasts, different meanings. We are over 8 billion people on this planet, and each of us with a unique perceptual system. We communicate, remember, the person in front of you has a different past and has a different perception. Communicating clearly so you can truly be understood is an art. Now, we're going to talk about some mental filters and how we see reality. When we talk about perception, we are talking about filters. Everything we experience today passes through these filters before the brain interprets it. These filters determine how we understand the world. One will be cognitive filters. This includes beliefs, expectation, and past experiences shaped by how we process information. So past betrayal will be future suspicion. If your partner doesn't reply to a message for 2 hours, nothing has changed yet. But if you were betrayed in the past, your brain fills in the gap. You don't think they are busy. You think "Mm, something is wrong." Your body tightens, your tone changes, and you start protecting yourself before facts appear. It's the same situation, it's just different past, different reality. Another example would be conflict. Past conflict will mean fear of disagreement. So, if in the past conflict meant yelling, rejection, or emotional punishment, your brain learned one thing: conflict is dangerous. So, today, even a calm disagreement feels threatening. You stay silent, you avoid the conversation, or you agree even if you don't. And not because you are weak, but because your brain remembers. That is a cognitive filter. Second one would be emotional filters. Our emotional states, our emotional state strongly influence perception. When we are happy, the world looks lighter and we forgive more easily. Think about how different you react right before a vacation, right? You have a vacation coming in 2 weeks. You forgive everything. When we are emotional triggered, the same word can suddenly feel threatening. For example, seeing a dog can trigger fear if you have this associated with a bad memory. Because of that memory, your emotional state can shift and you might suddenly feel sadness or worry. Cultural filters. Culture provides norms, values, and expectation. What feels normal in one culture might feel unacceptable in others. So, for example, in some rural Nepalese communities, women have become the primary half breadwinners, while men take on domestic roles. For them, this is normal. For others, it might feel unfamiliar or difficult to integrate, but this is a cultural filter. Biological and personal filters. This includes age, gender, neurological conditions, trauma, substance abuse, and they all affect reality. When balance is lost, perception can become distorted. Example, parents often speak from structure and children hear through emotion. It's the same words, is just different nervous system. Attitude and prejudice. Beliefs and values influence how we judge situation. We usually label things as good or bad, normal, abnormal, ethical, unethical. This can lead to prejudice and distorted interpretation of behavior. For example, two people witness a situation, the same situation. A person from a minority group raises their voice. One observer carry, carrying unconscious prejudice interprets the behavior as aggressive or threatening, and they are thinking, yeah, of course, this is how they are. Another observer interprets the same behavior as frustration or stress, the same way they will think for anyone else. Is the same behavior, it's just different interpretation. Not because the action changed, but because the perception passed through pre-existing belief system. This is how prejudice works. We stop seeing an individual and start seeing a label. Why this matters? Each person has a unique perception of reality. Because of that, we decode words differently. Understanding this help us to develop empathy, communicate clearly, and collaborate effectively. Understanding filters does not mean accepting harmful behavior. It means recognizing that behavior has roots we might not see. Every person carries a past, and most present behavior is shaped by that past. Our present is not neutral, it is already colored by everything that came before. Before reacting, ask yourself, is this what is happening or what my past is projecting? That pause alone can change everything. We are not robots. We cannot function only from conscious, rational thinking, but we can pause. We can become aware of how we are wired. We can learn to regulate, communicate, and respond instead of react. You don't need to agree with everyone. You need to understand perception, yours and theirs. Thank you for watching.